Sorry about that. Let me put this away real quick. Are you a gamer? Do you need more RGB in your life? Gotta catch them all while driving to work? Actually, wait, no. I think that last one's illegal, but anyway. If you're a gamer who wants to add even more game to your life, you're at the right place because we've got the Asus ROG Phone 7 with us and we're gonna tell you how it's been to use it. Hello my fellow gamer boys and girls, Raymond here today with the ROG Phone 7. Now, this isn't the more high-end model ROG Phone 7 Ultimate, but regardless of which phone you choose, they're actually mostly the same. Both have pretty much the same key hardware, with the main difference being that the ROG Phone 7 has this light-up RGB ROG logo on the back, while the ROG Phone 7 Ultimate will have a secondary ROG Vision Matrix display on the back, along with the AeroActive portal that first debuted on the ROG Phone 6D Ultimate that will be used alongside the new ROG Active Cooler 7, but more on that later. Back to the phone we've got on hand, the ROG Phone 7 has a 6.78-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display with a 165Hz refresh rate, a peak brightness of 1500 nits, and a number of other specifications which you can see on screen here. While it looks like the same screen from the ROG Phone 6 series, it's actually now brighter as last year's model peaked at 800 nits only. And just like the ROG phones of before, there is no notch here, which was actually a really nice thing to return to. Also, if you've never used a high refresh rate display on your smartphone before, maybe you're on an older device or you're on a non-pro iPhone user, it's really hard to explain just how much more smooth and responsive it is, especially at 165Hz. The real piece de resistance though is not even when you're gaming, but we'll get to that in a bit, but it's really when you're just watching movies and content on it. Maybe it's the minor brightness improvements Asus did, maybe it's the panel that's just better this year, but there's something about the audio-visual experience that makes the ROG Phone 7 one of the best in the smartphone scene for that. It's the speakers. It's the speakers that makes the experience so good. Not only do the pair of front-facing stereo speakers return on the ROG Phone 7, but the new AeroActive Cooler here isn't just a cooler anymore. It's an attachable subwoofer. The ROG phones of before already had some insanely good audio for a smartphone, but with the AeroActive Cooler 7, it brings along for the ride a 5-magnet super linear 38mm subwoofer that Asus says will deliver 77% strong bass. And gosh dang it, it's just so good, sometimes it's hard to believe it's coming out of a package this small. To me at least, it sounds even better than most thin and light laptops out there.
Are the photos any good? Well, check out these photo samples.
Like seriously, forget all the hoo-ha about gaming and performance for just a moment. If you want the phone just to watch content, the pairing of the ROG Phone 7 and the AeroActive Cooler 7 is like spaghetti and meatballs, or teh and tarik, or soya and chinchao. Unfortunately though, we cannot forget the hoo-ha because, well, this is everything the phone is built for: gaming and performance. Under the hood, you'll find a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor with up to 16 gigs of RAM and up to 512 gigs of storage. It comes with Android 12 out of the box, and as usual, you can opt between their ROG UI skin or a more stockish one, along with all their gaming-focused software tools such as Armoury Crate, Game Genie, and the phone letting you go to X mode for maximum performance, and not to forget, air triggers on the shoulder buttons. Overall, it makes for some pretty solid gaming on the go, with the phone able to handle most games that threw at it, barring a few titles that weren't particularly optimized anyway. One thing to note though is that if you want to game at 165Hz, you actually need to ensure that your game supports it. You can check that through the Armory Crate app. Hardware is all great and all, but one thing I would have liked Asus to improve upon is its software support. Asus is only guaranteeing 2 major Android OS upgrades and 4 years of security patches on the ROG Phone 7 series, which it's pretty poor compared to the other Android manufacturers out there. The AeroActive Cooler 7, by the way, now also cools your fingers. Or, well, more specifically, it now vents air across the display, making it more comfortable to game on. Together with the cooler on the back, I actually found it working quite well, keeping temps to below the 40 mark and minimizing all the palm sweat that usually happens when gaming for a long time. Oh, and if you're using the ROG Phone 7 Ultimate, when you hook it up to the AeroActive Cooler 7, the pop-up AeroActive portal on the back of the phone opens up for more direct cooling of the hardware underneath. As usual, there's a massive 6000 mAh battery that for regular use easily lasts me like a day and a half, stretching to 2 if I'm gonna cut all the gaming out and whatnot. Comes with a 65-watt charger in the box too, along with a braided cable. Lastly, we're coming to the part that is usually where gaming phones falter: camera department. The ROG Phone 7 packs a main 50-megapixel camera using the Sony IMX766 sensor, flanked by a 13-megapixel ultra-wide and a 5-megapixel macro lens, rounded off with a 32-megapixel selfie camera. In the ROG Phone 6 review, though, I did say that while they aren't the best, the cameras will do fine for most people looking for a point-and-shoot experience, and the same can be said here, with shots that are still crisp and clear and mostly true to life. The ultra-wide though isn't great, and portrait mode shots can be improved still, but let's be real, you're not getting the ROG Phone 7 for photography anyway. And for those who are going to get the ROG Phone 7, you'll likely be happy with the cameras on this device. As for the price, here's how much the ROG Phone 7 and the ROG Phone 7 Ultimate will cost. Overall, the ROG Phone 7 does come across mostly as a refresh of the ROG Phone 6 from last year. You're getting the usual upgrades with the processor and minor improvements across the board. As such, my conclusion is the same as before. Skip the Ultimate and just get the regular ROG Phone 7 instead. That's much cheaper, and you'll still get pretty much all the hardware you need on the ROG Phone 7 anyway. It's what I would have said if it wasn't for the AeroActive Cooler 7 being so good by having a freaking subwoofer. Now, the regular ROG Phone 7 doesn't come along with the cooler bundled along, so that's another $399 to fork out for this though. Seeing as the Ultimate variant, which does have it bundled along, costs significantly more, I think it's the base model is still the better buy here. At 3,699 ringgit, it's also priced competitively with the other Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 flagships in this price segment, such as the iQOO 11, OnePlus 11, and Honor Magic 5. Maybe it's a little lacking in the camera department compared to the OnePlus 11 for instance, but if you want that large battery and all the performance you can squeeze out of it, the ROG Phone 7 is yet again another great gaming smartphone from Asus and a pretty good device all around. Well, that's been my review of the ROG Phone 7. Do let us know in the comments below if you're thinking about picking up one of these bad boys for yourself, and if so, what games you're going to play on it. Remember to like this video and subscribe for more from us here at Soya Chin Chow. This has been Raymond, signing out.